Hi everyone, this is Ishmeet and I'm here to help you understand what cost management is and how essential it is to the project management process. We all know that there are different elements to a project, right? There are some expenditures made, some costs are incurred. Some resources flow out and some resources flow in. But there has to be some regulation to it, right? We can't always keep spending because we want to stay as far away from losses as possible. So someone needs to keep a check on the funds and control them. This element is taken care of by what we call cost management. It is the process of planning and controlling the budget of a business. So project cost management involves planning, estimating, budgeting, funding, monitoring and controlling the costs so that a project can be completed within the approved budget. Also considering the effects of the project decision on the subsequent recurring costs of using, maintaining and supporting the process. But why cost management, you ask? Here's why. It helps in the overall governance of the project. Funds are an essential component to any project and we want to use them wisely. So cost management predicts any forthcoming expenditures and that helps reduce the chances of us going over budget. It also sets a baseline budget, which governs our actions of spending in the process. Before moving on to how we manage costs, let us see the types of costs that we will be dealing with. Fixed and variable costs. Fixed costs, as they say, are the ones that remain constant throughout the process of the project. They do not change with time. For example, the insurance you're paying or the rent that you are paying. Then on the other hand, we have variable costs which change with time. For example, the wage of the labor or the cost of the material. Then we have direct and indirect costs. Direct costs, as they suggest, are the ones that are clearly or directly assigned to the project. For example, the labor cost, the material cost. On the other hand, we have indirect costs that are not directly related but are accounted in the budget. For example, the travel cost or the space cost. Then we also have sunken costs. Sunk costs are the ones that cannot be returned or reversed once incurred. For example, the cost of the equipment that you are using. When we create a budget with these costs, we take care of two expenditures, the actual expenditure and the estimated expenditure. Actual expenditure is the real expenditure that happens and estimated is the one that is planned according to the resources that we have and the need of the project. What we need to maintain is for the actual expenditure to never exceed the estimated expenditure. Here's a draft budget template that you can see includes the various costs like that of labor and material and other miscellaneous costs, and then accounts for the estimated cost in comparison with the actual cost. When making the cost management plan, we basically have four major steps: planning the costs, estimating the costs, developing the project budget, and then controlling the costs. And we consider them in two groups majorly, that is estimating and budgeting, and the other is monitoring and controlling. So planning, estimating and developing the budget comes under estimating and budgeting, while of course controlling the costs comes under monitoring and controlling. So now let's first begin with the first step of the cost management process, which is planning the cost. So it is the initial process of defining how the costs of the project will be estimated, budgeted, managed, monitored and controlled. For this, we use techniques like WBS or work breakdown structure, which basically divides the project into multiple layers and then estimates the costs of each in a bottom-up approach, defining the cost resource requirements like that of labor, material, equipment, time, etc. This way, we will get a rough outline of the number of resources involved in the project and we will get a viable path to manage the costs throughout the cycle of the project. For this, we use tools like that of expert judgment, data analysis, and keeping regular meetings. The next step is estimating the costs. It is the second process in the project cost management plan that helps in estimating the costs of all resources required for the scheduled activities. One has to be very careful while estimating the total cost of the project. It forecasts the cost of completion of a project within a defined scope. However, because the scope is not constant, it changes throughout the life of a project. So the estimation is not a one-time process. We have to be performing it at periodic intervals. The tools that we use for this are analogous estimation, parametric estimation, bottom-up estimation, three-point estimation, and data analysis. Now we come to developing the project budget. This is the third step that determines the cost baseline and the funding requirements of the project. The baseline includes all essential funds for the project execution. Here we will do the risk identification, risk assessment, and define the risk response for the project. The cost baseline comes as a time-phased budget used at the initial point for monitoring and calculating the progress of the project. And lastly, we have controlling the costs. Now this is the part where you actually monitor the cost and watch where the actual cost has exceeded the estimated cost. Through various methods, we track the project performance and its progress rate. It is control cost process that will be responsible for explaining the reasons for any variance that occur and suggest further action to incur minimum cost. This will also involve informing the stakeholders of any discrepancies that have occurred. Effective cost management is your golden ticket to your project's completion within the given budget and within the given time. By learning how to estimate costs, monitor them and control them, you will be a better project manager. I hope that this video helped you understand cost management. For more such videos, you can check out Pixel App's YouTube channel. Thank you.